So now this one, I have to admit, really rocked me more than most. I'm starting to look at a lot of the discipline cases in the department, and unfortunately, because the administrative assistant and my 2 lieutenants were taken out of their positions in the department at some time in the past, there's no one managing that system. They have no idea where our internal investigations are at, what the status of them is, and I have seen a pattern of complaints against police officers fall out of statute. There's a 1-year limit on an investigation, and unfortunately the mischief in that is if you purposely let the statute run, then you allow misconduct to happen in your organization. Now, I'm not accusing people of that, but when I see so many and such a mess, I'm really kind of nervous about that, and I'm just being honest. And that's not the police officer's fault. That's management's fault. There's like, again, you have to be kidding me. No one knows where all the investigations are, who has them, who's investigating them, and where they are and when they're due, okay? We're going to get our arms around that. If my lieutenants ever get a chance to sleep and rest and I'm not here, they're already working on that. So we'll get our arms around that. Department audit issues. We're also, the city financial officer is helping me find a forensic analysis person to come in. And we're going to audit everything that has to do with money and books and how we spend money in the organization and everything else. We have lots of different accounts. And that's just the normal course of business in the chain of command. We want to know how the money's been spent, where it went, and are we okay? So we're doing that. Boy, I'm always trying to be careful about what I say, because my city attorney keeps reminding me I'm not here to create liability for the city, but you also have the right to know. So it's a very delicate balance. So I'm still going to try to do that.
Tell us, Chief.
Okay, so some more things. So yesterday morning, I think it was yesterday. It doesn't matter what day it was. Days are running together. Martha comes in. She's my administrative assistant, and she hands me 2 checks. One for $104,000 and another for $10,050 from the LA Impact. We have an officer assigned to the Regional Narcotics Task Force, and as part of that, we get asset forfeiture money that comes back to the Calexico Police Department that we use to buy equipment. We bought some police cars, and the now infamous Suburban that you all heard about, we bought that one with. By the way, no one's driving that. It just sits in the parking lot. I think I created a monster. No one wants to be seen in that. But anyways, very funny. And wait till I tell you about my police car, so don't let me get away with that. My own, when I found my own the other day. Oh my gosh. So they're dated August the 12th. The second check is dated, the check for $104,000 is dated August the 12th. So what is that, like 2.5 months ago? The next one's dated September the 18th. And you're looking at a pretty sizable chunk of money. And the city's hurting for money because I blew out the budget by $1 million for overtime, right? And I'm looking at Martha, I go, so Martha, where did this come from? Well, it came from one of our sergeants. Okay, why in the world would a sergeant have $114,050 in checks made out to the Calexico Police Department, and why didn't the city finance officer have those checks? Well, no one has the answer to that question, but I have to get to the bottom of that. So does anyone see the mischief in that? Right? These are not the police department's checks. These belong to the city manager and the city of Calexico, and yes, they'll be earmarked for the police department, and we will use them to get the things that we need to go. That is not the police department's money. So that belongs to you, the citizens.
So these checks were in somebody's desk in the police department? Is that what happened?
Yes, sir, they were.
You know, I mean, this is astounding. That we have checks floating around in somebody's desk.
100 grand.
Police department.
That's all right. We'll get to the bottom of it. Like I said, I would have told you yesterday, but things are moving so fast and furious.
By the way,
I'm not sure what to tell you.
Look for some more. We are looking for more. You do an audit of every desk, okay? And see if you can find any more checks.
You can find a Starbucks gift card, man.
Yeah, can you have that? So,
We ought to check and see if there's any other bank accounts.
okay, so we brought up the bank account. So now I have another confession that's come to my attention. So here I am one day getting these checks, and everybody's wondering, okay, why do they have these checks? And then I find out, and I won't mention the accounts or who they put them together, but I found out that some people in my department have created police department checking accounts outside of the city system. Okay? Now, am I making any accusation? No. But is it wrong for them to open a city account outside the city system? Absolutely. There is no right of that. Now, here's what I think happened. Okay, no, wait a minute. Here's what I hope happened. What I hope happened because of the lack of management that's been going on in the department, that some poor guy in the department just kind of got frustrated trying to get things done and tried to open an account to get things done. That's my hope. That's my honest hope. But in conjunction with checks in a drawer, I'm not sure, so I have to look into it. So it's something you need to know. Okay, next. So then I'm meeting with the finance, I'm meeting a lot of people really fast, and they're all hallway meetings in about 3.5 minutes like they have been with everybody else. And I have city people from all over in city departments who can't wait to tell me what they know, right? So a couple of finance people come to me and say, Chief, did you know? And as soon as I said, as soon as they say to me now, Chief, did you know? I'm like, oh, please don't tell me. I got too much on my plate already. But no, I didn't know. What do I need to know? So I find out that a couple of my employees in my department, we have contracts with different vendors around the city that are done legally and above board by our finance people within the city to take care of our city services. And a couple of our entrepreneuring members of our department went out and created their own contracts to contract services. Anybody see any mischief in that? So I haven't gotten to the bottom of all that again, but I will. In addition to that, and I don't mind saying because, yeah, it is what it is. We have a couple officers off duty that run a business, right? And it's a business that we use all the time in our facility. And we contract out to different people to take care of that business. And somebody in my department, I believe at the rank of sergeant, I'm not certain, decided to shift that business from the contracted vendor to the police officers running an off-duty business. Anybody see any mischief in that? Yeah, okay. I'm telling you, this is 8 days. I don't know how much longer I can stay awake as I deal with all of this, but I'm willing and I'm able, and somehow I wake up every morning energized and charged up. And I do because of you, the community, and the way you support me. So I'm going to keep going. So next, okay, my police vehicle. After I made this dramatic big deal out of the Suburban, honest, I wasn't making that up. I was like flabbergasted. It looked like the vehicle that the President of the United States would be hauling around. And I am definitely not the President of the United States. If my ego ever gets that big, I hope these guys, who are my friends, will come and slap me upside the head and say, knock it off, you ain't that big. So I walk out to this, I'm talking to my two lieutenants, and I said, well, where's my car? Well, they say, that's yours. And I went, oh, please tell me you're kidding me, right? Here's this beautiful, with radios and equipment in it, probably $40,000 Chevy Impala, souped up with the largest engine, GPS, leather interior, you name it, it's got it in it. And guess what? The windows are all blacked out like I'm the king of the mob driving around the city. Okay, I'm like, wait a minute, I just had this conversation with this guy, and you wait till today? Well, Chief, we didn't want to tell you the bad news about that because we knew how you reacted to the Suburban. So I immediately had the car wash guy out there. I gave him some money of my own money and said, hey man, take that dang film off the windows of my car. I'm not hiding from anybody. I'm their chief and everybody ought to know it. When I come around, they ought to be able to talk to me. So I at least did that. Also, just to give you an idea of why officers don't follow the rules, one of the best things you can do as a leader to make sure your officers don't follow the rules is if you don't do it yourself. Then it's free day. They all know, okay, well the chief's not going to follow the rules, so guess what, I don't have to. So one of the most disgusting habits in the world in policing is for another officer to smoke in a police car. Because we all live in that. That's our office, that's our life, 12 hours a day. Well, whoever was driving the car before me, and I assume it's the chief, decided that he was going to smoke in that car. So he's pretty much destroyed the ability for anyone else to use the car, although I'm giving it a shot. I'm using air fresheners and everything I can so I can breathe in that car.
Open the windows.
But I only bring that up because these are the kinds of things that make police officers think they don't have to follow the rules if the boss doesn't, right? The It's my son there, he's laughing, we had this conversation at dinner. He says, Dad, well, what are you talking about? I said, son, remember how I had all these rules with you growing up? Poor kid grew up with 2 cops for parents. He used to tell us, you treat me like I'm the bubble boy, Dad. Yeah, well, it's true, he is. And I said, remember how you used to draw the line in the sand? And then the first thing that you would do is say, well, Dad, you do that, right? We're all the same. If Dad's going to do it, we're going to do it, right? So that's why I bring that up. So now I have to sell another police car. Oh, and this, you'll love this part of the story. So there's a city purchasing contract. Oh, Richard, I hope I told you about this. Maybe I didn't.
Uh-oh.
No, he's told me so much the last few days, it's hard to keep track of everything.
So I started asking questions about the police car. And so I had to come over and talk to my finance guy, and I go, how in the world did the chief of police get a $40,000 police car? And he said, well, actually, he didn't. I said, what do you mean? Well, it went out to legal bid, like we do in the city, to give everybody the opportunity to bid. And the original bid was for, I believe, like a $23,000, $24,000 car, which is like within the range. That's what my lieutenants drive, and I'm not any more special than they are, so that should be a really nice car. And they get that car into contract, they get a fleet price, and it shows up, and voila, there it is. Well, the chief decided that that wasn't a good enough car. Okay, well, I could do that, and you know, maybe my ego's big enough to do that. But the next thing that happens is they go down to the dealership and they upgrade the car, add another $10,000, $12,000 to the bill to add all the upgrades and get the Impala, and they don't go through the city process to get it approved. They just work their own deal with the dealer with the former car they had. I don't know what you make of that, but I think you're pretty bright people. Not okay. So now I have to sell another car. So we have 2 beautiful cars. We have a beautiful Yukon and we have a beautiful Impala for sale. And we're not sure how we're going to do that yet, but we'll make it available to the public at some point. And I will buy a car like my lieutenants. I'm not special. And that darn Charger is pretty darn cool. I'm kind of looking for it. Okay. So I'll let that ring. Funny, that's how. All right. So then, as part of the next thing you do as the chief of police is you go look in the drawers in your office. Kind of an interesting thing when you find in your drawers in the office. And again, I've been a command officer for 27 years of my 34-year career in the LAPD. And in change of command, you always go in and you check things out and you look for things. And I start finding these letters and notepads. And I'm not sure who wrote them yet, but when I read those letters and notepads, which I get to do, this is my desk now. You know, some still argue that, but it is my desk. And as I'm reading through this stuff on my desk, it's pretty clear, once we get to the bottom of it, it's the note-taking of retaliation against people in the department who are whistleblowing. Okay? I'm a pretty smart guy. When I read these things, I know exactly what's going on. So we have some investigations going on, and we will get those notes to the people who are conducting those investigations, and we'll get to the bottom of it. So as I'm doing that, and this is the good news, and I pray that my police officers are listening today, there's some officers in my department who've been retaliated against by management. And I'm unraveling that now. I met with one of those officers today who will remain unnamed. It's up to him to decide if he wants to come forward, who couldn't wait to come back to work. He's been off for a long time on administrative leave because he was afraid to come to work. This guy shows up in my office, suit and tie, smile on his face. He's so excited, telling me all about his career and all the things that he'd done. He worked for some people, including Mike, who's sitting right back there, and great guy. And I'm like, wow, where has this guy been? And then I find out that he's some guy that we relieved from duty and sent home. And I start looking into the discipline that he got. And the discipline was not even misconduct that he got disciplined for. You know what I mean? I'm a pretty smart guy. And I'm just telling you, when you read the allegations of misconduct, they are not misconduct. And then he was disciplined, and money was taken away from his family and his paycheck. I have talked to Richard about this one, and we're going to get him his money back, and we're going to restore his good reputation, because when I see wrong, it doesn't matter which way it goes, we're going to stand up and do the right thing.
Yeah.
And there's another. There's 2 more that I'm looking at, and we'll get to the bottom of those as well.